Hello everybody, welcome back to another Death Battle reaction video. Today's episode is going to be either be your brightest day or dark as steel. Because today it is Simone the Digger from Gurren Lagann versus Kyle Rayner from DC Comics. We got the emotional spiral, let's see what I did there, that is this battle, because on the one corner we have Simone the Digger. I don't know that much about Simone. I got to learn a lot of cool stuff though from Richard over on Let's Discuss Death Battle, and I think overall Simone's story is pretty damn cool, and Gurren Lagann seems like a lot of fun. And in the other corner we have Kyle Rayner from DC, and from what Bill was describing Kyle as, with how creative he can be with his lantern ring, this episode has a lot of cool things that they can do from a fight perspective, and I think the analysis is going to be a lot of fun. I don't know too much about either of these two, so I'm really excited to learn more about them. And from the preview I've seen, they are definitely going buck wild with some of this animation, dude. It's nuts. As for who I want to win, and who I think's gonna win, because my mind and my heart are both agreeing with this one, I'm going for Simone. There's something that Richard was saying that, like, Simone was able to absorb an attack as the universe or multiverse of Gurren Lagann was expanding, which I think might be greater. And of course there's also the fact that I think they're called probability missiles, which is going to be very hard for Kyle to avoid. Meanwhile, Kyle could win if you give him the anti-life equation, and as well as just say time ha, thanks for the tip, and Kyle wins. That'd be very funny if they somehow reference it here. Other than that, I'm really looking forward to this one from a learning perspective, because when I heard of this matchup, it was through the Will of the Drill soundtrack, and a lot of people were saying it was made for spite reasons, even though you can kind of understand not wanting to match it for the spite reasons. I think Death Battle will surprise us with showing us what they can do, especially given how insane some of the stuff is. Not just on animation people, but look at this fucking art on screen. This is from the storyboard guy, John Mitchell. He is super ecstatic for this. Let the team cook. That's all I'm going to say. Besides, let's go Simone. Dude, my heart has been pumping for such a long time. Like today, I don't know why. Why does this one got me so high?
Simone the Digger, Kyle Rayner, the White Lantern. Two men born of Earth with the willpower to pierce the heavens and conquer infinity. He's Wiz,
yeah,
boomstick.
that's a light way to put it. Weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. I don't know why, but hanging around makes me do that sometimes to myself.
Jiha Village lived in dreary isolation, oblivious to the wider world above their squalid cave. That's where the hero of our story comes in. The young man who would lead his comrades into the sunlight at last. Kamina, the great and mighty. Oh,
what a title.
Little brother from another mother, Simone. He was there too, I guess. Simone was
there too, I guess.
Digger, content to drill endlessly through the dirt.
Pronounced Simone.
Until the day he found the core drill.
This likes paperwork, authority, the anti-spiral, likes Molstakes, Nia, Kanina, drills. Molstakes. Now I see where Fallout got that name from.
Leadership, Kamina finally drilled their way to freedom,
so,
seeing the sun after a life in the dark.
Okay.
But the sky was by no means the limit. The surface was ruled by the cruel chimeric beastmen, and Kamina would lead his compatriots.
What kind of a long ass sword is that? I don't know.
Scoring a second mech in the process, aptly named Gurren. And as befits Kamina and Simone's unbreakable brotherly bond,
Gurren and Lagann are
merged.
Okay, yeah, they're two separate mechs that make big guys.
Piloting the body and Simone the head, these two were unstoppable.
So, is it safe to say Simone was the brain?
Might just be the absolute coolest, fueled by its pilot's willpower and capable of making
12.8 meters.
Imagine,
okay.
Including missiles, a jetpack, a sunglasses boomerang, and of course, drills.
You know, sunglasses boomerang sounds like something Johnny Cage would use.
Drills, Kamehameha drills, and everyone's favorite, the Giga Drill Bureku.
Hot damn.
It is so funny that the only thing they could think of was drills. It's like if I made booze or something, my whole personality. With Gurren Lagann's awesome power,
there was 99 bottles in the background. Also, there was a bit of gameplay footage. Foreshadowing.
Until Kamina died.
Ouch.
Oh, wait, shit, was that supposed to happen? Nope, and it was all Simone's fault. He let his willpower waver, and his soul brother paid the price.
Ow.
He was just a humble digger, at home in the darkness, guided solely by the light of Kamina's spirit. So his big bro left him with these final words. Have faith in the Simone who believes in you. Damn. Kamina was the one looking up to him the whole time. It was Simone who found Logon. Simone who pierced the surface.
So they both kind of look up to each other in a sense.
Victory. Especially
Got it.
with his gal pal Nia at his side, who helped pull him out of his rut and kick Lord Genome's ass. But victory only lasted 7 years before the anti-spiral attacked. Unimaginably powerful.
So was the anti-spiral like in the second half of the anime, I'm gonna assume? Or was it around longer?
Spiral nemesis. Remember how Gurren Lagann runs on fighting spirit?
Yeah.
Turns out that's just a manifestation of spiral power, an energy that all spiral beings, like humans, have. That's right, the laws of physics run on chutzpah. Just as the spiral turned inward represents endless obsession and madness, the spiral turned outward spins forever into infinity. The perfect representation of humanity's evolutionary potential.
That's a creative metaphor.
As he led Team Gurren across
Gurren?
to take the
Ominous.
To the anti-spiral.
Oh.
This is when Gurren Lagann gets crazy. Channeling
Define.
power lets you constantly
I would say define crazy, but I heard stuff from Rich.
How overwhelming. Simone can create portals to different realities and higher dimensions. He can generate force fields, absorb energy.
Space-time shattering burst spitting punch. What are these names, my guy?
Creating the Arc Gurren Lagann, which is strong enough to shatter space and time.
Oh.
Punch. Or the Super Galaxy Gurren Lagann, which can fire lasers that are fast enough
Mech
to
anime names be wild, yo.
all time, space, and dimensions.
Ha.
All within a Planck instant. That's
Oh,
the smallest unit
what?
of time
Okay.
physically possible. Meaning each laser would have to be moving 4.6 times 10 to the 117th power times faster than light. Well, looks like this wins the award for fastest calculated speed feat in our show's history.
Yippee!
Congratulations, Gurren Lagann. Move over, SpongeBob. You've been dethroned. Oh, and the guidebook says they hit an innumerable number of enemies across infinite universes. You literally cannot calculate how fast that is.
The fuck?
But wasn't enough to escape the anti-spiral's greatest trap, the multiverse labyrinth. An attack that imprisons Simone in his own unique multiverse, forced to experience an infinite number of alternate realities that controlled his mind, permanently arresting him in a dream world. Except Simone and his spiral power are just built different. And after being inspired by his bro, Simone absorbed that whole multiverse to escape. What makes this even more impressive is that this labyrinth was 11-dimensional.
Oh, there's a translation error.
Simone absorbed a higher dimensional structure, several orders of infinity greater than himself. The jump
Does that
between
make any
dimensions
sense?
is
No.
basically infinite. Each new dimension adds a new direction of space that extends infinitely, thus an infinite gap in size and scope.
Okay.
What? Oh, we're just getting started. Imagine a two-dimensional drawing interacting with a three-dimensional person.
Okay.
That's not too far off from what actually happened. Because when Simone
Yeah.
absorbed the multiverse labyrinth, he merged
I'm
with
so
every
confused and
alternate
amazed at the
universe
same
version
time
of
at Gurren
himself,
Lagann, man.
including an alternate universe Simone, who is writing his own alternate universe version of Gurren Lagann.
What?
And that author's spiral power made his fictional Simone real, adding another to the mix.
Okay,
Wait, if every
dude.
human being spiral power, you're telling me we can all do this shit? This all
I-
gave our Simone
I
enough
guess.
spiral power to form the next step in mecha evolution. Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. This
What a
is when
mouthful.
Gurren Lagann gets actually fucking crazy. Like shooting missiles that alter probability so they have a 100% chance of hitting you.
Okay.
Or tossing galaxies around like frisbees. Sorry, did I say galaxies? I meant universes. Simone's
What
power
the
was so immense that he started generating super spiral space.
So much rule of cool in
Higher
Gurren
dimension
Lagann, man.
our own
You can't convince me
universe.
otherwise.
With it, Simone turns his thoughts into reality, letting him create his mech and all of its weapons in the first place. Not only does this mean he no longer needs co-pilots, he can also regenerate any damage done to him or his mech just by willing it back into existence.
Okay.
Like when Lord Genome used spiral power to survive quantum breakdown, or the time Nia, now the best wife in the universe, used spiral power to constantly regenerate her body from being erased at the informational level. For 7
Is that
days
a
straight.
counter to the
Information in
anti-life
physics
equation,
is
maybe?
essentially
I
the
don't know.
ones and zeros that make up every possible
might
outcome
be-
in reality. Nia literally regenerated from the statistical certainty of her own destruction.
Okay.
If I have spiral power, whiz, when the fuck is my leg growing back? When even this was not enough for the anti-spiral, Simone evolved one more time.
Because of course he did.
Into Super Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann! This mech is so big, its size is literally incalculable. And with a drill somehow even larger than that, Simone and his friends shattered the anti-spiral once and for all. Hey, cruel indifference of the universe! Meet the indomitable human spirit.
True.
Kamina's words prophetic. That Simone's drill is the drill that would pierce the heavens. With no more worlds left to conquer, Simone chose to wander the earth for the rest of his days.
Okay.
In service to others. Always looking up. For all the lights in the sky are stars, and every star another world of spiral cousins that can live
Spiral
forever.
cousins.
All thanks to a humble digger.
Damn, what an ending.
The universe is a dangerous place. Should you find yourself face to face with an interdimensional vampire, alien dictators, or this one really pissed off cat,
What?
you know who to call. The Green Lantern Corps.
I like how they're like, here's the Ghostbusters, but we're actually gonna bring in the ghost, but we're talking about the Lantern Corps. Yippee!
By blue leprechaun gods. And the greatest Green Lantern among them was everyone's favorite, Hal Jordan.
Yay!
You love him. You might hate him. But
Especially
you gotta
Fireball.
respect the man with a
But he
will
still
as
wins.
unbreakable as Hal's. Until the day his will broke. After his hometown got completely obliterated, Hal lost his mind.
Yeah.
Rampaged through the core, killing everyone in his path, and absorbed the central power battery, the literal Green Lantern.
Because
becoming
why
the
not?
emerald tyrant, Parallax. There was only one survivor of Parallax's killing spree, Ganthet. And with what remained of his strength, he gave
that was one of the
last
two founding
Green Lantern ring in
members,
the
I
universe
think.
to a
Maybe?
human, Kyle Rayner.
Hi, Kyle.
So was Kyle picked for his indomitable willpower like Hal was? He was just
He also
there.
became
had no
Parallax
idea
at
what
one
was
point?
going on. Must feel good being given the most dangerous
DC
magical
editorial
weapon in
Jaws love
existence to
triangles
figure
like
out on
Superman
your
Asian
own. Hey,
movies.
if Colonel Sam
Gamera.
has Daffy Duck, Space Wheat, and a sentient fox can master it, what's your excuse, Kyle? The Green Lantern
His
ring
excuse
can
is,
do anything, fulfilling
he's
any
Kyle,
wish its
I
user
guess.
desires as though it were a genie from a lamp. It lets you fire energy blasts, create force fields, affect gravity, turn invisible and intangible, manipulate matter, time travel, warp reality, and erase things from existence. Think we're
Okay.
exaggerating? Well, consider
Yeah,
the
there's
time
just
Kyle
a lot.
stretched the very fabric of space to increase the Planck length a billion times over. That's like stretching an inch into a light year. Lanterns control time and space.
I would say how, but then again, I'm like, oh yeah, Green Lantern, Hal does this kind of
Tapping
stuff
into
too.
the Speed Force requires entering a higher dimension of space, requiring speeds that are not only faster than light, but totally immeasurable. And the rings
So
have an
does
artificial
that mean
intelligence
Kyle's
that operates
faster
just
than
as
Simone,
fast,
maybe? I
automatically
don't know.
protecting its user from danger. Like the time that Poozer Kilowog survived being erased from existence by the Crisis on Infinite Earth. The ring
Owie.
is fueled by its user's willpower and limited only by their imagination. While Hal may
True.
have had the greatest willpower in the core, Kyle's imagination is unmatched, probably because he's a comic book artist.
Yeah,
And we
that
know from
explains a
this
lot.
show, they think of some wild shit. But
They
the Green
do.
Lantern's most recognizable ability is their constructs. Kyle's speciality. Samurai armor, pirate ships, giant dragons, actual working home computers, and his favorite, super fighting robots.
Mega Man?
Hey, that one looks familiar. Kyle can make them strong enough to lift the Spectre, who weighs as much as
I was laughing at the boomstick
eternity,
on my own.
or hold back a 12.3 dimensional Big Bang. Wait, 0.3?
Huh?
DC's multiverse has 12.3 dimensions? That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The ring's
True.
only downside is that it's limited to 24 hours before needing a recharge. So it can blow up universes, but it has the battery of an iPhone. Never mind, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Although I'd say Kyle's biggest weakness was Kyle. With great power came no responsibility. Perhaps a manifestation of Kyle's self-doubt. Any
I
reflection
suppose.
came too late, though, when one of Kyle's villains brutally murdered his girlfriend, Alex, and put her body in a fridge. Kyle
What a
wasn't the only
bastard.
one traumatized. This moment was so infamous,
Stuffed
it
into the
started the trope called fridging.
For how female characters are often sacrificed as mere plot devices to further a male character's development.
So it might surprise you that it happened to Kyle again.
Kyle finally got serious. He became
So
a
Kyle was
member
when it
of
was
the
started.
Justice League,
Okay, that's
faced
kind of
off
cool to learn
against
about.
Hal, and even rebuilt the Green Lantern Corps better than ever.
But little did he know, this torchbearer's greatest journey had only just begun.
In order
True.
to save Ganthet from an emotional lobotomy, it's a long story, he had to master
Yeah.
all the colors of the emotional electromagnetic spectrum.
There are 7 colors, each representing a different emotion. The
True.
yellow light of fear lets Kyle manipulate
So they are giving
the worst
him the
horrors in your
life
mind.
equation, okay.
The more scared you are of him, the stronger he becomes.
Orange light is fueled by bottomless avarice, possessing Kyle to absorb not merely his enemies' attacks, but also their souls.
Red is rage, ripping out Kyle's heart and replacing his blood with napalm.
Ow.
Which sounds like it sucks, but it's metal as hell.
Blue
True.
light is powered by hope and allows Kyle to heal wounds, resist mental domination, and supercharge his ring.
Okay.
Indigo is compassion, reducing his opponent's will to fight and letting him open portals across space, connecting him
Alrighty.
to others.
The final one was the sapphire light of love. With it, he can trap enemies within crystal matrices and control their minds. But Kyle only mastered it by forgiving himself for Alex's tragic death.
Oh,
Ah.
self-love. I get it. Must be nice. And
True.
with their powers combined, he doesn't just make his enemies taste the rainbow.
The lights of the spectrum merged, and Kyle became a White Lantern, with total control over the power of life.
Wiz, I cannot think of an attack more useless in a death battle than something that makes you live.
Empowered by the physical embodiment of
Okay,
all life
dude.
in the DC multiverse, Kyle is vastly more powerful than any other Lantern in existence.
I believe
Far
it.
stronger than Hal, who could harness the energy of every power battery across the multiverse.
Not only can Kyle instantly heal all wounds, purify corruption, and resurrect the dead, the
Okay.
bright light of life is strong enough to go up against threats to all of creation.
All of
like
creation.
The Anti-Monitor.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not totally useless.
Especially after Kyle
Not
visited
totally
the
useless,
source and
as they
acquired
show
the
Steve in
life equation.
Healing Spit,
Essentially
I
the
guess.
source code to reality, the life equation is mathematical proof that life is worth living.
With it, Kyle
Okay.
can alter all of reality at a whim, even threatening the new gods like Darkseid.
The life equation, like its counterpart, the anti-life
Wonder
equation,
Woman,
is a
Parallax, Amazo, and
conceptual
Oblivion.
artifact
Oh,
from
we
a
beat the
higher
four fellow
reality,
Scrolls game. Good for you,
originating
Kyle.
in a platonic realm that
I'm kidding.
is,
I know
in a
it's not what I
sense,
mean, but
more
still.
real than we are.
So it's not a shock that the equation made Kyle too powerful.
He
Yeah.
struggled to control it, and it subconsciously manifested a being composed of his fears and anxieties. Oblivion. Kyle's
Oh,
greatest
that's what
weakness
Oblivion
was
is.
still himself.
Kyle spent his whole life struggling with the power that the gods granted him, and throughout it all, he always rose to the occasion, carrying the universe on his back.
But ultimately, the only way to stop power from corrupting is to spread it. So Kyle split the life equation into pieces to found his second core,
Okay.
the White Lanterns. And together, they shattered Oblivion, destroying the self-doubt that plagued Kyle once and for all.
That's
Not
kind of
bad
cool.
for a comic book geek from LA.
And now he was the one giving out rings of unlimited power to people who weren't sure if they could command it.
So he told them the truth. You can't teach someone how to use such power. You have
Inspirational
to learn yourself,
is what
making
these two are.
mistakes along the way.
But with the power of life at their command, there's no end to their journey.
Damn.
Only endless beginnings.
Yippee!
Hey, remember Beerus versus Sailor Galaxia?
Yeah?
No? Well, that's because it was taken off YouTube for being too anime. But
Ouch.
we've got a solution. It's our own website. That's www.deathbattle.gg. It's like our own private Patreon, with a store for death metal merch and a complete death metal video archive.
Yeah,
it's got
it's
episodes that
pretty
YouTube has
dope.
banned, blocked, and censored, and there's
Yes,
even
it's a
more
fact.
goodies on the way. So check out deathbattle.gg live right now.
Dope.
All right, the combatants are set. And
All
we've
right.
run the data
I
through all
think I'm still going with
possibilities.
Simone.
Time for a death
It's really close, though.
battle!
So- Fuck it. Let's go, Simone.
All right, I'm not rusty at all.
Nice.
Hey dude, Green Lantern Officer Kyle Rayner here. Ring says you've got a Class A galactic super weapon.
Oh.
Whatever that is. I'm thinking it's
Simil-
the giant mech.
Similar starts
Why
of
don't
Ben
you
versus
hand it
Hal.
over?
Gurren Lagann's mine, officer. Just who the hell do you think you are?
Hello, Balrog. Goodbye, Balrog. Luigi time!
I'm told I'm bad
Into the dragon from, like, Danny? Maybe?
Tell me about it.
And
Four.
4. The music, though.
That's nothing! My drill will pierce the heavens!
Ow! Oh, that's sick.
Take it to Gurren Lagann!
Sick transformation. White Lantern time. And he's gonna...
That's really cool.
It kind of is.
I'm a lantern.
We do the impossible.
See the invisible.
Touch the untouchable.
Break the unbreakable.
If you ain't know,
Now you know!
That exchange was really good. Ow. Whee! Kyle just got... Where are we?
The digger. If there's a wall in my way, I'll smash it down!
I thought he was gonna say drill. Ow. That was painful.
stop fighting.
These lyrics are
About your
dope.
fear of death, your love of your friends, your compassion for me, your hope for the future. Choose life.
Have faith in the Simone that believes.
Oh, that is a badass scene, dude.
Super Tekken Topa Gurren Lagann! My drill is the drill that will transcend the heavens! Giga Drill Free!
Owie. Oh, that's fucking cool. What? What happened?
The super weapon wasn't your mech.
It was me.
Then, Simone, I'm taking you in brightest day, in blackest night. No evil.
This
shall
is pretty
escape my
cool.
sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern fly!
What an oath. Oh,
See you grit those teeth!
Stormin. Ow.
You'd make a good lantern.
Simon of Earth, you have been chosen.
Oh, that's cool.
Just who the hell do you think I am?
That is a cool ending. Let's go. Yes.
The guy with the snazzy sunglasses.
When both combatants possess unlimited power, it's hard to judge them by our normal
That was
standards.
dope.
Take speed. Simone can
Cool
hit
ending.
an infinite number of targets all at once, and Kyle can fly fast enough to surpass the normal concept of speed itself.
When you control space and time, things like strength and speed kind of become irrelevant.
Instead,
True.
let's analyze them through a lens more applicable to beings as absurd as Simone and Kyle. Their imagination, their willpower, and their ultimate potential.
First up, imagination.
That's
The
Kyle,
boundless things they can
I think.
conjure to use against the
Because,
other.
like,
Both could
Simone
think of
has
just about
drills.
anything the other
Primarily
could,
drills.
Like absorbing each other's
I think.
attacks, fighting across
That's how this
time,
goes.
Anything.
Simone did have a few attacks that Kyle hasn't encountered, like the probability-altering missiles, but it's likely Kyle could adapt considering his ring could protect against existence being erased across the multiverse.
And in general, Kyle's constructs were a lot more creative than Simone's arsenal, which was mostly drills. Though again, nothing Simone couldn't adapt to with, say, his energy absorption. Imagination is a draw.
That leaves
Really?
the other main factor for both characters, the origin of their unbelievable might, their willpower.
And that's
I
really
kinda don't
gonna
agree with
be
that
the
part, but
winning
whatever.
factor here, since it's the source of everything for both of them. Whoever's got the stronger willpower wins.
Both can manipulate reality on a multiversal scale with their willpower, but we can use dimensions to roughly calculate a difference. This
Yeah,
might sound
that's fair.
absurd for most characters, but it's necessary for beings as beyond the pale as Simone and Kyle.
Yeah.
The multiverse labyrinth that Simone absorbed contained 11 spatial dimensions. That's 1.3 dimensions less than the multiverse Kyle's power can threaten.
And remember,
I mean, true.
each numbered dimension infinitely surpasses the one below it.
Which meant Kyle's willpower was stronger at a base level. However, that doesn't necessarily mean Kyle gets the edge, because if there's one thing both of these guys are known for, it's that they can always get stronger.
That
So
is
to
very
determine the
fair.
limits of their willpower, we first need to understand their full potential.
Simone's whole deal with spiral power is how he can constantly evolve to get stronger. So just because Simone starts off weaker doesn't mean he'll stay that way.
Absorbing
True.
the multiverse labyrinth required Simone to leapfrog several orders of infinity in an instant. Simone made himself that much stronger through sheer force of will.
More than enough to close the gap with Kyle, especially since spiral
Okay.
power also lets him regenerate his body down
Yeah,
to
'cause,
an
like-
informational level. Kyle's never destroyed something that thoroughly before.
Without the
I mean,
ability
true.
to easily kill Simone, it was only a matter of time before Kyle's ring ran low on charge. Especially
Yeah,
since Simone
there's
could
that.
likely regenerate for at least a week straight, like Nia did. While Blue Lantern Light could boost Kyle's power, he's never jumped several orders of infinity in strength like Simone has.
And
That's
while
fair.
Kyle could manipulate emotions to reduce Simone's willpower, Simone resisting the labyrinth's mental manipulation meant he could power through anything Kyle threw at him.
Everything, that is, except for the life equation. It
Yeah.
originated from a higher level of reality and would have more than even the odds.
Too
I
bad
mean,
Kyle
fair.
couldn't control it. It was just as much a detriment to him as an asset.
Okay, so I thought the
forcing him
regen would have been a
relinquish it
counter
to
to
keep from
Anti-Life. That's on me.
destroying reality and himself.
Compare that to Simone, who merged with a version of himself writing a version of Gurren Lagann, and using spiral power to make that fiction into reality.
It's absurd
A
what
pretty
this is.
similar level of reality to the life equation, and a level of power Simone had no trouble embracing and mastering by the end of his story. No matter how you look at it, Simone might start weaker, but his peak will always transcend Kyle's.
And it's kind of what he
Isn't that
does.
How all of Simone's battles usually go anyway?
Yeah.
That's Gurren Lagann in a nutshell.
So Simone's incredible potential eclipsed Kyle, which means his willpower was ultimately greater. Kyle may have embodied life itself, but Simone's unstoppable evolutionary potential would shatter even this.
What
lantern's
an
light.
I
episode.
hope Kyle at least dug the fight, because when it comes to death battle losers, he was a dead ringer.
The
Ow.
winner is Simone the Digger.
Let's go. Class for
Next
Simone.
time on Death Battle.
Up next is... Oh, Tom versus Wiley.
Subscribe and join
Oh,
us in order
joy.
to see more Death Battle.
Time for
Thanks
cartoon
watching.
shenanigans, mother truckers. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about this episode. The fight was really cool, and I love learning about Simone. Kyle's analysis, initially, I'm going to probably rewatch it for a video I'm going to do with Richard tomorrow. Initially, like, looking at it, was okay. It was serviceable, but not much else. Like, I could buy a couple the argument of faster, but eventually Simone would just be more powerful. Again, the only thing I really don't agree with is the imagination portion, but that might just be me. But oh well, it didn't really matter because of potential and willpower. And it was a cool ending though. Not as gruesome, but I can totally see someone doing Art of Simone as a lantern now. That'd be pretty dope to see. As for next time, it's Tom Cat versus Wile E. Coyote. The Tournament of Champions winner is finally happening, and it's going to be... I'm pretty sure they confirmed this. It's a hand-drawn fight, and we're prepared for some of the weirdest and wackiest tunes. We're going into Looney Tune territory, which I know some folks are going to be happy about. But hey, let me know what you folks think down below in the comment section, because I love reading your comments. Do you agree with Simone beating Kyle, or do you think Kyle should have beaten Simone? And what do you think about Tom versus Wiley? Thank you folks for watching. I will see you all later.